You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony, and we're broadcasting live from the Concierge Landscape Studios. And today we've got a number of topics. We're going to be talking about bullies. We're going to be talking about a new law in Florida that I think is really interesting in how HOAs are able to get money from delinquent homeowners.
That's right. And we want to hear your opinions. What do you think about what we're talking about? What do you think about what our opinions are? 651-289-4488. Give us a call.
Yes. Before we get back, though, let me just say here in the first hour to our listeners, we have a free resource for you. It's a bi-monthly newsletter that we put out at New Concepts called What's New. And a lot of the topics we cover on the radio show are covered in further detail. It is, we have, I think over 18,000 folks that are now subscribing to that free newsletter. All you need to do is give us a call during the week at 952-922-2500. Ask for Courtney, and make sure that you start receiving your newsletter. Well, let's deal with this area of bullies.
Bullies and homeowner associations.
Yeah. I suppose, for a lot of time here, I guess I always thought that the idea of bullies was something you dealt with in elementary school and junior high. But
on the playground.
But you kind of got over that. But still an issue today, do you think?
I think most people do get over it. I think it's not uncommon for kids to do that pushing and shoving and maybe try pushing their weight around with other kids, but most of us mature out of that.
Yeah.
And we learn that's not the best way to operate in the real world, but there's always a few people that continue that method.
Yeah, and anytime you've got a group of people together, specifically a homeowners association, it is
possible.
And we're going to talk about a situation now. And again, we'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. It's called bullying is a growing problem for the elderly. There's a woman, Tony, her name is Doris Lohr, and she is now in her mid-70s. And she is a retired secretary. She had lived in New York, California, and a couple parts of the valley. Now is living in Arizona. And she has found her neighbors basically friendly and felt welcomed in the crafts clubs and community groups and all of that she's had in her age-restricted retirement community home in Chandler, Arizona. But that's when she says she encountered her first bullies, and her social life took a dramatic turn for the worse. There's a clique here that is meaner than mean, said Doris. The first time I went to a recreation center, a man yelled at me and said, "This is a private club. You aren't welcome here." Social workers, recreation center officials, and others who work with the elderly say the problem that Doris Lohr describes is getting more common as the retirement population increases and more people enter care homes and retirement centers. Tony, do you think that's happening more?
Well, it's interesting they say that it's happening more. Simply because there's more people of that age group. It seems to me there's something else going on here. If just simply that there's a lot of people moving into retirement communities, it doesn't seem like that's the only reason that there's bullies in these retirement communities. I think bullying, as we said before, can happen at any age, and maybe there's more elderly that lapse into that bullying thing. If you think about it, we talk about people kind of regressing back to childhood as they get older, and maybe they're regressing back to that bullying behavior they used in grade school. I mean, there's some pretty evil elderly people out there.
And I guess and again, it's like anything else with all these stories. Without being there, you don't know both sides of what's really going on.
And we've learned that the news media never really addresses all the issues or describes all sides of the argument.
I mean, how many times has someone, written a letter? It could be as innocuous as a manager saying, dear homeowner, it's been brought to our attention that this may be happening.
Sure.
And if it is, please, we
Sure.
would ask you not to do that.
Sure.
And it comes back. The management company is just ripping my arms off and just
They told me to get the hell out.
yeah. Oh man, it's just
I've heard that before. I got this nasty letter. You told me to
so
move
some
out
of it.
here.
So some of it really wasn't maybe bullying, but maybe just it could
The
be
reaction.
the reaction,
The emotional reaction
how
to the
someone
issue.
feels,
Sure.
and when you're dealing with people that are an older age, there's one thing my grandma said that I
Yeah.
remember that
Yeah.
I always remember, and it's the kind of person that I want to be. She said that as people get older, they either get better or bitter.
Ah, interesting.
Older people get better or bitter.
Oh, my.
They either are bitter and they're upset because their body's failing them.
Yep.
They're not able to do what they used to do, and they are feeling sad. There are other people that become better. They
Yeah.
allow those situations, what we would just call life, to allow them to just be a lovely person because they're more understanding.
There you go. They're more tolerant of other people
More
because
tolerant,
of their
yeah.
life experience.
Yes, and so when I
Yeah.
thought about that, and then I
Yeah.
think about my grandmother,
Yeah.
she was a better person.
She got
not
better.
not better, but better, and that's the way I want to go.
I like that. I
So,
like that too. I think there's an issue here that probably deserves more study and more research on how to deal with the elderly who are regressing. Dementia could be an issue, and that's mentioned later in this article. Partly we do fall back to our childhood, and we get our world really narrows. We are all trying to respect elderly people and still treat them as adults, when in reality, maybe they are no longer adults.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there. We have to modify
Yeah.
how we try and work with people.
I agree.
Yeah.
Let's go on with the story here. Doris said that she was dealing with very mean people. She has lived, it says here, in a retirement community of over 1,100 homes, so it's a pretty large property, and they have a community center. And she said that it's a pretty big deal. The mean girls that were in school, as they get older, are still around, she said. And she said that, well, that's interesting that she says that. However, we're talking about a man who was the one who yelled at her.
Yeah,
And-
she has problems apparently with a clique, she
Yes.
said, of people.
And
Yeah.
so she was annoyed that she said that she received, after this, a letter of reprimand from the HOA herself after she tried to confront the residents, she said, that exclude her from community programs.
This is where we kind of get the idea we're not hearing all sides of this story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was it bullies that she was dealing with, or what was going on?
Yeah.
We don't know.
How did she respond?
Yeah.
And did she contribute to this negative exchange?
Yes.
Yeah.
The HOA manager and president declined to comment on Doris's experiences, but the HOA president, Mark Harold, did respond in an interview request with a letter stating that the community has not and will not tolerate bullying on the common areas of the community. Doris Lohr, said that despite repeated complaints and letters to the director of her homeowners association, she can't get a seat at a card table and gets cold shoulders at the women's club and has been chased away from seats at the community pool. Bullying among seniors appears to be a national problem, it says in this article. And again, like you said, I don't know that it's necessarily becoming a national, a big national issue, but it's just something that we're dealing with because we're dealing with people that are
with human beings, but I think it is a big national issue. It's been there's been stuff all over the news about teenage suicides that were possibly brought on or caused by bullying from peers. Okay. So I think it's all age groups. I think it's nationwide. There were a couple of people in this story at the end that offer some actual information, I think.
Yeah.
There's some positive information about this.
Well, I tell you what, we've got to hit a break right now, but when we do, let's talk about what some of those solutions are. And Tony, you have a few suggestions yourself. We'll talk more about bullying and HOAs, but we'll take this break. You're listening to Where You Live on AM 1280, The Patriot.